Hello everyone, children, hope you have seen my previous video. So let us quickly recall what we discussed in our previous video. The topics that we discussed were to find the mass, volume and density of a body, the SI units of density, how to determine the density of a body using a measuring cylinder, and the last topic of the previous video was how to find the density of an irregular body using a Eureka can. So today we'll continue with the same lesson, that is lesson number 2, physical quantities and measurements. So let us continue. So today we'll begin with measurement of density of a liquid by using a density bottle. So what is a density bottle? A density bottle is a small glass bottle having a glass stopper at its neck, as you can see in the picture. The bottle can store a fixed volume of liquid. Generally the volume of the bottle is either 25 ml or 50 ml. The stopper has a narrow hole through it. When the bottle is filled with liquid and stopper is inserted, the excess liquid rises through the hole and drains out. Thus, the bottle will contain the same volume of liquid each time and it is filled. It is used to determine the density of a liquid. So, density bottle is used to find the density of a given liquid. That is, they say that we have to find the density of water. So what we are going to do is that we are going to find its density volume first, then we'll find its mass, and then we'll use the formula density is equal to mass upon volume. So density bottle helps us to find out the volume of a given liquid. As it is already mentioned there on the bottle, either it can be 25 ml bottle, density bottle, or it can be 50 ml density bottle. So when we are pouring the liquid inside the bottle and we are closing its mouth with a stopper, the extra water starts moving out of the bottle, and then the amount of water that is left in the water bottle is depending upon the volume of the bottle. If it is 25 ml density bottle, then the volume of the water inside will be 25 ml, or if it's a 50 ml volume bottle, then the volume of the liquid will be 50 ml. So we can use this density bottle to find out the volume of the liquid. So now we have found out the volume. Now to find the density, we need to find out the mass. So what we'll do is that first of all we'll take an empty bottle, density bottle, and we will find its mass. Let it be A1. Then we are going to fill the bottle with the liquid of which we have to find out the density, whether it is water or it is kerosene oil or it is alcohol. Whichever the liquid we have to find out the density, we'll pour that liquid inside the bottle and then we'll find its mass again. So first we have found the mass of the empty bottle, that is A1. Now we are going to find the mass of the bottle plus the liquid inside it, and let it be A2. Now to find the mass of the liquid only, what will we do? We will subtract A1 from A2. We will subtract the mass of empty bottle from the mass of the bottle with the liquid, and we'll get the mass of liquid only. So here we have found the volume and we have found the mass. So now we can find the density of the liquid, given liquid. We'll use the formula density is equal to mass upon volume, and we'll get the density of that particular liquid. I hope it is clear to you all. Now next topic that we'll discuss is variation of density of liquids and gases with temperature. All forms of matter, whether they are solid, liquid or gases, they expand on heating and contract on cooling. That you have already read in your previous classes, even in your previous chapter also. But as you know that expansion in the solids is very small. When the solids are heated, the expansion is very small. So with the rise of temperature, what happens when the expansion is small? That means there is not much change in its volume. So if the volume will not change much, so its density will also not change. There will be negligible change in its density even. That means in case of solids, density, there is negligible change in density even if the temperature is raised. But in case of liquids and gases, there is large change in volume when the temperature is raised. So we know that density is equal to mass upon volume. So if there is large change in the volume, if the volume is more, then what will happen to density? Density will be less. Density is equal to mass upon volume. Density is inversely proportional to the volume. If volume is more, density will be less. Same is the case in the gases also. It's for both the liquids and the gases. When we raise their temperature, when we heat them, their volume will increase, and if their volume will increase, their density will decrease. Let's take an example. As you can see here, for example, if a liquid X has a volume of 100 centimeter cube and mass 150 grams at 0 degrees Celsius, such that its volume at 100 degrees Celsius is 110 centimeter cube, then we have to let's find out the density in both the cases. Just try to understand, children. Let us take the example of any liquid, like liquid X. Its volume is how much? 100 cubic centimeter, and its mass is how much? 150 grams at the temperature of 0 degree Celsius. Let us say that we are heating the liquid, the temperature rises. So now in that case, the temperature has raised to 100 degrees Celsius. You can see it is written there. And what happens to its volume? Its volume is also increasing. When you're raising its temperature, its volume is increasing. So how much rises there? It will become 110 cubic centimeter. But the mass will remain same. So let us see now. Density at 0 degrees Celsius, mass upon volume. Mass is 150 grams. Volume is 100 cubic centimeter. So when we divide them, we get the answer as 1.5 gram per cubic centimeter. So the density of the liquid at 0 degrees Celsius will be how much? 1.5 gram per cubic centimeter. Now the same liquid which has the same mass, but only there is a change in the volume because we have heated the liquid. So density at 100 degrees Celsius, mass upon volume, mass is same 150 grams, but there is change in the volume. Volume has changed from 100 cubic centimeter to 110 cubic centimeter. So when we divide mass by volume, we'll get the answer how much? The density will be 1.36 gram per centimeter cube. Now we can see, children, when the volume is increasing, volume is more, density is decreasing. In the first case, at 0 degrees Celsius, the volume is 100 cubic centimeter and the density is how much? 1.5 gram per cubic centimeter. But when the volume is increasing, that is 110 centimeter cube, the density is decreasing from 1.5 gram per cubic centimeter. It is decreasing to 1.36 gram per cubic centimeter. I hope this is clear to you all. Next is consequences of change in density of liquid with temperature. I have taught you in class 7th also that about the convection currents in water. There is change in the density of liquids when the temperature rises. We have already read, as if you remember, that warm water has less density, whereas the cold water has more density. Because warm water has less density, so warm water will rise up, and cold water has less density, cold water will sink. Let us take an example that if you are heating water in a beaker, you will take the water in the beaker and you will start heating it. What will happen? The water will start getting heated up at the base, and the warm water will start moving up because it has become lighter, and the cold water will start moving down because it has more density. So in that case, this process will continue till the whole water will become warm. And because water is transparent, so we cannot see the movement of the molecules of water, that warm water is moving up and cold water is moving down, that cannot be seen. But if we put few crystals of potassium permanganate in water, you will see that when water will get warmed up at the bottom, you will see the strikes of colored pink purplish color water moving up and the colorless water moving down. So that can prove you that the warm water is moving up and the cold water is coming down. So that is the consequence of change in density of liquid with temperature. When the temperature rises, the density decreases. So the warm water density is less and the warm water is moving up. Next we will discuss consequences of change in density of gases with temperature. Much the same way, the gases also get heated up by the convection. That means, for example, let's take example of when you are burning wood or coal. What happens in that case? The air above it becomes hot, and because it becomes hot, so its volume decreases, it will move up and cold air will come down. In the same way, the land breeze and the sea breeze, which you have already read in your previous classes, is also the example of what? Convection currents. Let's take an example of the natural ventilation of homes due to convection in gases. For example, let us say in that case the hot air in the rooms, they pass out through the ventilators, they move up and pass out through the ventilators. The hot air which has become denser, it will move out, and to take up its space, the cold and the dense air will move inside the room from the doors and the windows. The next is your concept of flotation and sinking of a substance. The density of water is 1 gram per cubic centimeter at 4 degrees Celsius. It is always same. Now you will see that you must have seen many times you must have seen that there are some substances, when you put them in the water, they float. Some substances, they sink in the water, and you must have also thought about it, that why does this all happen? This happens because of the density. Now let's take the example like wood is there, cork is there, kerosene oil is there, petrol is there. When we pour them on the water, you will see them, they keep floating on the water. And whereas the stone, pebbles, iron, copper, silver, if we put in the water, they will immerse and they will sink in the water. Why is it so? Because cork, oil, wood, they all have less density than the water. That is why, that means they have less density than 1 gram per cubic centimeter. That is why they keep floating. Whereas iron, stones, pebbles, they have more density than the water. That is why they sink. So from this we have understood that those substances which have less density than 1 gram per cubic centimeter, they will float in water, and those substances which will have more density than 1 gram per centimeter cube, they will sink in water. So it depends upon the liquid. Different liquids do have different density. For example, we can take the example of alcohol. Alcohol has density 0.778 gram per cubic centimeter. Water has density 1 gram per cubic centimeter. Glycerin has density 1.25 gram per cubic centimeter. So different liquids have different densities. For example, let us say that if we take a piece of wood and we will we'll immerse them in the water first, we will see that we'll immerse them in the water first, then in the alcohol, and then in the glycerin. So wood has density 0.68 gram per cubic centimeter. So when we immerse it in the water, water has density 1 gram per cubic centimeter. So that means wood is having density less than the water, so it will float. Whereas when we are immersing it, where we are immersing it in the alcohol, so the difference in the density of wood and alcohol is not much. Let us see. The density of wood is 0.68 gram per cubic centimeter and density of alcohol is 0.78 gram per cubic centimeter. So in that case, because the density is not, there is not much difference in density, the wood will, some part of the wood will immerse in water, some will keep floating in water. Now let's take the example of glycerin. In that case, the density of glycerin is 1.25 gram per cubic centimeter, whereas the density of wood is 0.68 gram per cubic centimeter. So in that case, there's much difference in the two densities, that is density of wood and the density of glycerin. So the wood will slightly immerse in the water. It is also because of the buoyant force. Now what is a buoyant force? Buoyant force is an upward force exerted by the liquid. Let us take the example of the alcohol, water and glycerin. They all are having different buoyant forces depending upon their densities. So that is why wood, in one of the cases it will float, in the other cases it will immerse slightly in the water, in the other third case it will merge more in the water. Why? Because the density of all the three liquids, that is alcohol, water and glycerin, are different. So the more the density of the liquid, more will be the buoyant force. Buoyant force means the upward force exerted by the liquids. Buoyant force, let's take the example of alcohol, water and glycerin. So where will be the more buoyant force? Glycerin, among the three liquids, glycerin will be having the more buoyant force. Why? Because density of glycerin is more than the density of water and alcohol. Glycerin has density 1.25 gram per cubic centimeter. So more the density of the liquid, more is the buoyant force. I think this is clear to you all. Now let's talk about the seawater and the fresh water. Seawater is more denser. Seawater has more density than the fresh water or the pure water, because seawater has dissolved salts in it. Is that clear to you? Now whenever the ship enters the seaport, it has a certain, it is likely to submerge in the water. It can sink even in the water. So there is always for the safety this measures, all the ships, they have the markings on their hull. There's a marking, a red line mostly on the ships. That is, what is that marking? What is that hull? That is to show that up to which level the ship can submerge in the water or in the sea. Is that clear to you? And that hull is, we call them as plimsoll lines. We call them as plimsoll lines. Now what are plimsoll lines? Let me explain it to you again. Plimsoll lines are the marks around the hull of the ships, which indicates the level to which, up to which the ship can submerge in the water. That means we have to load the ship accordingly so that it can submerge in the water up to that level. If it is loaded with more, that means if it goes, the water goes beyond that level of the hull, then what will happen? The ship can sink, it can even overturn in the water. So it's always to be taken into the consideration that the ship is to be loaded in such a way that when it goes into the water, when it goes into the water body, into the seas or the oceans, it should not merge in the water beyond that level. That's called as a plimsoll line. That is clear, I believe, with all of you. Now next topic that we will discuss is, children, that why does an iron needle sink in water but not an iron ship? Now this is really a question that can come to your mind also, that a ship is also made up of iron but it does not sink in water, but a small needle it sinks in water. Why does it happen so? Now let's discuss the iron needle first. Iron needle is very compact and its density is how much? 7.6 gram per cubic centimeter. That means the density of needle is more than the density of water. Water has how much density? Water has 1 gram per cubic centimeter and iron has 7.6 gram per cubic centimeter. That means if needle has more density than water, when we put it over the water, on the water, it will sink in the water. It has more density. Now let's talk about the ship. Why doesn't the ship sink when it is also made up of the same iron? The reason behind it is that, children, that the most part of the ship is hollow inside. Okay, it is hollow inside. Because of that, what happens? The volume of the iron ship becomes more. So we have already discussed that density is equal to mass upon volume. So if the volume is more, what happens to density? I have already told you that density is inversely proportional to volume. If volume is more, density will decrease. So what happens to a ship? Because there is more hollow part, so volume will decrease. If the volume will decrease, volume will increase. If the volume will increase, density will decrease. So if density will decrease, it is less than the density of water. That is why it keeps floating on water. Okay, now the next and the last topic of this chapter is comparison of densities in the 3 states of matter. That means the comparison of densities in solids, liquids and gases. Now you know that in the solids, the intermolecular spaces, they are very small, and intermolecular forces, they are very large, because the molecules are very tightly packed in a very small volume. That is why, because the formula that density is equal to mass upon volume, because of that the density has, the solids have high density because their volume is less, so density is more. Now let's move to the case of, in the case of the liquids, what happens? Intermolecular spaces are somewhat larger than the solids, and intermolecular spaces are small as compared to solids. So in that case, the molecules of liquid are not so tightly packed in small volume as in the case of the solids. So in that case, liquids have lesser density than the solids. Now in gases, what happens? The intermolecular spaces are quite larger. The intermolecular space is very big in case of the gases as compared to the liquids and the solids, and the intermolecular force of attraction is very small, as almost negligible. It gets weakened. It weakens in the case of gases. So here the molecules are free and they can move in all the possible directions. They can occupy all the available space. So when the volume is increasing, what will happen to density? Volume is more because they are occupying more space. That means the volume of the gases is more. When the volume of the gases is more, the density will be very less as compared to solids and liquids. So here this finishes your chapter, children. The chapter number 2, that is your physical quantities and measurements. Now children, let us discuss some of the numerical problems. As you can see there, the questions. The first numerical is: a piece of lead weighs 232 gram and has a volume of 20 cubic centimeter. Find the density of lead. So we'll solve it. Mass of the lead is given, it is 232 grams. Volume is 20 cubic centimeter. We know that the density is equal to mass upon volume. So mass is 232 grams divided by volume 20 cubic centimeter, and after dividing them The answer is 11.6 gram per cubic centimeter. Next is 5 liters of alcohol has a mass of 4 kilogram. Calculate the density of alcohol in first gram per cubic centimeter and second is kilogram per cubic meter. Let us solve it now. The mass of the alcohol is given how much? 4 kilograms. That means 1 kilogram is 1000 grams. So 4 kilograms means 4000 grams. Volume of alcohol is 5 liters. It's given. But we know that 1 liter is equal to 1000 cubic centimeter. Again I am repeating. 1 liter is equal to 1000 cubic centimeter. Therefore, 5 liters is equal to 5000 cubic centimeter. So we have got the mass in grams and we got the volume in cubic centimeter. So we can find the first part of the, we can solve the first part of the question, first part of the numerical. So density of alcohol is equal to mass upon volume. That means 4000 grams upon 5000 cubic centimeter. And your answer is 0.8 gram per cubic centimeter. So we have solved the A part of numerical 2. Now we'll solve the part B. Here we have to find out the density in kilogram per cubic meter. So to convert the grams into kilograms and centimeter cube into meter cube, what we will do? We will multiply 0.8 by 1000 and we'll get answer how much? Density in kilogram per cubic meter is how much? 800. So answer for part B is 800 kilogram per cubic meter. So now children, I am forwarding the relevant pages of this lesson for the from the prescribed textbook along with the exercises for your reference and detailed study, and I am also sending a set of questions in the form of PDF for you. So with this we complete lesson number 2. Thank you. All the best to all of you.